thank you all for coming. It would make Kevin very happy to see this many faces turn out. See a lot of familiar faces, obviously, family and friends and those that knew him that I haven't had the chance to meet yet. Thank you all very much for coming. We know it was all on very short notice that we put everything together, and we appreciate all the support, help we've had from family members, friends, in putting it together. I know a lot of you traveled all the way from all over California, from Mountain View, the Bay Area, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara. Thank you very much for taking time out of your schedules to help honor my dad. My dad was a fun-loving and casual man. He never lived in Hawaii, but we definitely Hawaiian shirts were his favorite form of apparel. And so thank you all of you who supported him by wearing those today. I never really saw him in a suit except for the most formal of occasions, and even then it was always maybe unbuttoned or without a tie or something, always very casual. His life was a tough battle against a myriad of diseases, as those of you who knew him knew, and he hung in tough when many would have given up long ago. He was loved by all who knew him. He was a kind soul. He made friends extremely easily wherever he went, as witnessed here today. He loved sports, he loved flowers, and he loved his family. But almost more than anything else, he loved to eat as well. In the end, his body lost a fight against overwhelming odds, but his friends, family members, and loved ones will always carry his spirit in our hearts and soul wherever we go, forever. And be at peace, Kevin, my dad. Thank you. Now, I'd like to ask my uncle, James, to give us a few remarks about the significance and reflection on his life. Thank you.
Good afternoon. For those that don't know me, I'm James Togami. I'm Kevin's, well, actually all of us are his older brothers because he was the seventh and youngest of the family. So basically, I think those that knew him as a fun-loving guy, maybe sometimes too fun-loving, but he was always a really special person. He actually had juvenile diabetes, and so one of my theories was because when he was younger, now notice I didn't say smaller, all the neighbors always used to say, "Oh, what a cute little baby." And so they always used to give him candy and cookies and all kinds of sweets. And of course, he never turned any of that down. But Kevin was really a special guy. He had that knack. Being the youngest brother, he was very sociable. He had no problem getting along with his older brother's friends. One of my friends that I grew up, went to kindergarten all through high school, he would tell me that, "Oh yeah, Kevin came over and just said, 'Hey, Don, what's happening? Let's go do something.'" And there was like about a 7.5-year difference, age difference. And it never fazed him. He never, had any problem like that. So there's other things that maybe I can talk more during the other remembrances. But, basically we're here, gathered here. It's a memorial service, but really it's a celebration of his life. And we want to remember all the fun and good times that we had with Kevin, and basically in the way that he touched each and every one of us. And he did touch us in some way, whether it was his easygoing personality or his love for having fun, but he was also a very generous, kind soul. But he he always used to make me crack up, and I used to make him crack up when we used to talk over the phone. I wouldn't hang up until I made him kind of like laughing, almost split his sides laughing, and then I knew I could go ahead and say, okay, well, I got to go, bye. But he was that kind of a person. So what I'd like to do is have us bow our heads, and I'll have a little prayer. So, Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for allowing us to gather together to remember Kevin. He was a great son and a brother and a spouse, and also a father and a great friend and uncle. And we ask that you continue to be with us, help us to be a better person for having known him. And we ask that you continue to be with all of us and touch us in that special way. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Uncle James, for those kind remarks and leading us through that. I'd now like to ask that my Uncle Ed come up and give you kind of a brief life sketch and a biography of Kevin. Very colorful life, as you'll soon find out, but he definitely made use of all of his time on the planet. Thank you.
Okay. I have to look at my notes. First of all, I'm Ed, and I was the second oldest of all the brothers. So my oldest brother was a few years older than me, and he helped take care of his younger brothers. There was 7 years between him and myself. And when Kevin was born, my brother Terry said, "This one's yours." Meaning that I got to change his diapers, burp him, do all the things for my mom, because she was running around taking care of all of us and providing everything else, along with my dad. At the time, my grandfather, my mom's father, was living with us. And I remember that Kevin was, for him, an especial delight. First of all, he could lift him. He was under 2. And Kevin was a really happy baby. He had a lot of people around him to play with him, to feed him. There's a theme here. And a lot of pictures of both my grandfather and Kevin, they're being together. One of the things that he learned, as we found out, was he learned to be very independent. And I think he was about 3 or 4. You can correct me if you remember better. He wanted to go see some friends. Well, his friends lived across town. So by himself, he walked across town. We're trying to find him. We found him about 10 blocks away, something like that. He was going to see some friends. So, let's see. I had moved away by then, so I don't have a lot of stories of when he was growing up, but I heard a few. When he was at the Mountain View Academy, he was asked to be like the head cook at the academy. I didn't know all the details, but he was a cook while he was a student and running the cafeteria. So he was able to juggle quite a few things. After that, I think he worked there some more. Not quite sure what happened, but I ended up saying, "Why don't you move to Santa Barbara with me?" Because I was living down there. And he moved down to pretty much go to Santa Barbara City College in their hotel and restaurant management program. He was accepted into that. He was really proud of his big set of knives that he had to get for the program. And he started learning how to be a commercial cook and chef. Well, that got diverted because one of our friends was going to start a small restaurant, and they asked Kevin to be the cook. And he went to his professor and said, "What do you think? Should I do this or should I stay in the program?" And then his friend said, the professor said, "You know, the whole reason you go to this program is so you can become a cook." So he reluctantly dropped out and went to work at his first restaurant, which was a mobile takeout Chinese place. Actually, they delivered and had some fun names. It was called Walk and Roll. That was a good one. He also, I was working down there at the time at a screen printing T-shirt place and needed to make sure that he earned some money, so I put him to work. Got him a job there. So he learned how to fold T-shirts. I don't know if he was good at folding T-shirts still. No? Okay. But he got his love of T-shirts, of wearing and collecting T-shirts. So I apologize. That was partially me. I still have a bunch, as my daughter knows. And then when the restaurant folded, he was able to work for Kinko's, which was a huge part of his life. And he started out in the shipping department, made some great friends at Kinko's that are still friends. And part of those friends were to include Elisa at the deli. And he made many trips there, I think. Unfortunately, he didn't pay quite enough attention and ended up in the hospital for quite a long time. We didn't quite know what was going to happen, but he made it through and recovered and went back to work for Kinko's. And I think the main theme of Kevin's life that I, reflecting on all his stuff, is he was able to create families around him, whether they were sons and daughter, our family, his Kinko's family. I know he had a Trader Joe's family. He had a circle of friends from his academy days. And I know when he moved to Fresno, he also had, as I went through looking at different things from his Facebook page, he had friends from his dialysis, which was, he would go through there. And I think that whenever I think of Kevin, I think of families. And I think of his laughter and his love of, his friends. Not to mention his 3 cats. He always worried about his cats and talked to his cats and said, "Okay, here's what are we doing," And that's, to me, that's what stands out for me. And it's been bittersweet to go through and look at all these pictures. I was there for some of them. Remember looking at other ones, and it's just something that he's always there. So thank you for being here. And he's always a part of our lives. Thanks.
And we'd like to show you some of them up here today. They're set to three of his favorite songs. We have Somewhere Over the Rainbow done by a Hawaiian artist. We also have Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World. And then finally we have Fleetwood Mac. I believe the song is Landslide. It's, again, one of his favorite songs. So we ask that you view some of the photos and remember him as best and maybe look a little bit into the lives. And like Ed said, we have a lot of different families gathered here today. The intent behind this is to kind of knit those families together and put together a common remembrance of Kevin that we can all take with us. And so, without further ado, Adam.
Okay, this one's for Gabby. They'll learn much more than we'll drops like a lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dreams that you dare to, why, oh, why can't I?
Took my love, took it down. I climbed a mountain and I turned around, and I saw my reflection in snow-covered hills till the landslide brought me down. Oh, mirror in the sky, what is love? Can the child within my heart rise above? Can I sail through the changing ocean tides? Can I handle the seasons of my life? Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you. But time makes you bolder, even children get older, and I'm getting older too. Oh, I'm getting older too. Take my love, take it down. Climb a mountain and turn around. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, where the landslide bring it down. And if you see my reflection in the snow-covered hills, well, a landslide will bring it down. Oh, the landslide will bring it down.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the
bright, blessed day, the dog say goodnight, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I never knew. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Ooh, yeah.
I'd like to thank my brother for arranging that again on short notice, as you'll find as a theme throughout today. He tried to arrange it roughly as chronologically as possible, and hopefully you enjoyed that and some of his favorite songs along with him as well. At this time, we'd like to kind of open the floor up to anybody who has something they'd like to remember Kevin by, a favorite story, a favorite quote, an action, mannerism, anything that you'd like to share about my dad. I would open the floor up at this time. I know my Uncle Les wanted to at least had an anecdote that he'd like to share, and then after that we can go by whoever would like to come up. Uncle Les.
I'm less of the 7 boys. I'm number 3. And Kevin used to crack me up. And he was, ever since he was really, really young, up to a couple years ago, he always had a problem. He could not stop laughing. So it first started off, I think we said, if you could not laugh for 1 minute, you could have a quarter. Well, a couple years ago, it was up to like 20 or $100, and he never took any of our money. We would sit there and we would just say, "This could be yours if you could not laugh for 1 minute." So we would stand there, and then all of a sudden, our faces would go, and oh, that was the catalyst. It was all done. We took our money back until the next time. When I was in high school, of course, Kevin was 9 years younger than I was. He used to go with my mom a lot. They were like this, because when Mom went shopping, she needed a helper. And Kevin, "There's nobody here except for me. I'll go." So a lot of times we would be playing on the street because we lived kind of on a side street. It wasn't as busy. And my mom had a white Maverick, but my mom is not 6 feet tall. So when she gets into the seat of the car, we always used to joke about it. We'd say, "Look, that car, there's nobody driving." So we'd wait until Mom get a little bit closer, and then we'd be running the street like, here comes Mom and Kevin, and they hop out. But yeah, I tell you, Last instance, I came down, I don't know how many years ago, and we went to go hit some golf balls at the driving range, and it was at nighttime. And then, I can't remember if it was that time or the next time, but we actually went out golfing. I had clubs, he had clubs, and we went in his golf cart and went tooling around near the end a little bit. He was a little bit tired, but we played a full 18 holes and had a great time. Ishikef.
Well, you snooze, you lose. If anybody was going to come up, now you're going to have to wait a little while. Anyhow, they'll have to indulge me. I've got actually several different remembrances of Kevin. And Adam, I'm still trying to find that one picture. I think it was when we went to Crater Lake, or actually they went without me. I was home alone. I think I was like 12 years old, and I had promised one of my friends to do his paper route. And a week later, my parents go, "Oh, we're going to Crater Lake for vacation next," And it's like, "Oh, wait a minute, I gotta do a paper route for one of my friends." So anyhow, I missed out on that trip, and it was like that Home Alone thing, 12-year-old Home Alone. It's like, okay, what am I gonna eat? Okay. Wasn't that bad, I guess, I don't remember. But anyway, I know there's a picture where Kevin is in shorts, and he's sitting. Actually, they told him, "Oh, there's a chipmunk. Why don't you feed it?" So bend down. And they're going, "Lower, lower." And he's like this. And they were saying, "Bend down lower." He goes, "I can't." I guess his shorts were too short or something, or too tight or something. I don't know. But I'll try to find that picture. I know I got it somewhere. But there was another thing when we were growing up. I was trying to teach Kevin how to tackle in tackle football. So I would throw him the ball, and I'd say, "Okay, so you go like this, you wrap him up, and then you bring him down. So, okay, here, your turn, you try it." So I'd throw him the ball, and then he'd start running towards me, and I'd come up like this, and then I think he realized he was going to get tackled, so he did a U-turn. And so he starts running back the other way, and he's laughing, if you remember his laugh. And then he's looking to see if I'm still following. So he throws the football at me, hoping that I'll stop trying to tackle him. And it's like, that didn't work. I tackled him anyway. But that was so funny. But Kevin was actually very astute when it came to food. Because when Les and I were teenagers, Kevin used to like to cook because he liked to eat. So, if you like to eat, you're usually a pretty good cook. And that was the case. But one Sunday morning, he was cooking all kinds of food, if you know Kevin. And my dad happened to come into the kitchen, and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm cooking." It's like, "You're cooking too much. What are you doing?" So he got kind of in trouble, right? So the next Sunday, Kevin, actually, I was very impressed that he did this. He came up to me and Les, because Les and I at that time were kind of like the workhorses, helping my dad with his work. And so Kevin came up to Les and I. We're sitting on the sofa, and he goes, "Hey, you guys want me to make you breakfast?" And Les and I look at each other like, "Okay, yeah, sure." So he's making us, corned beef hash, eggs, toast, everything is like, wow, hey, this is really great. So he brings it out to us, right? And we're going, "Oh, this is really cool." And so then I guess he was cooking for himself, and my dad comes in the kitchen and goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm cooking for Les and James." And then my dad goes, "Oh, okay, so that's okay." So then after that, Kevin comes in, and our plate was like, it was nice, His plate was like Mount Everest. So I was really impressed that he kind of leveraged that knowledge on that. But another time, when I was in the Army, I was overseas in northern Thailand. And back then, the yen to dollar was like 300 something to I mean, it was incredible. I remember when I was in the barracks, when I first got there, almost everybody had stereo equipment from Japan. I'm going, wow, what's with all the stereo equipment? They go, well, you'll see when you see the prices. So what I did is I wrote back to my brothers, the younger brothers, sorry, Les, you didn't qualify, hey, let me know what you want to get and I'll get it for you. So I think Steve wanted a camera, and I can't remember what Dave got, if anything. Sorry, Dave. And then Kevin sent thing back saying, oh, I want this telescope. And I'm thinking, telescope? So I went ahead and got it for him. So when I got back, he realized that actually he could have had anything. He could have had a stereo, he could have had a camera, he could have had anything. He's going, oh man, it's like, I don't know what I was thinking. It's like, hey, what can I say? But when I got out of the Army, I did get him a 10-speed Peugeot purple bike. I don't know if you guys remember that. He rode that everywhere because he couldn't drive. But I think one of the other things that I really wanted to, remember Kevin by is he really was a miracle, because I know that it was a Sunday when he was living down in Santa Barbara with Ed. Ed called me up on that Sunday and saying, hey, Kevin's in the hospital. They're going to operate on him Monday afternoon, so you better bring Mom down. So I called up my boss, said, hey, I can't make it in on Monday. So Monday morning, we drove down to Santa Barbara, and we got there probably around 10:30 or something, and he was already in surgery. So we were in the waiting room, and I remember the doctor came out and looked at us and said, he's not going to make it. So, of course, he was in the hospital for about a year, and he did make it. So that was really pretty amazing that he was able to, give us so many memories. But I remember one thing, backing up, when I think he was in 7th or 8th grade, he got caught smoking cigarettes, right? And he's going to a church school, right? So anyhow, he had to go to a stop smoking clinic in Palo Alto. And guess what? 7th or 8th grade, he can't drive, right? So guess what? Somebody has to drive him there. So I remember the first class, I parked the car, I went in, sat next to him, and there's all these people there trying to stop smoking. So they come over, and somebody goes, oh, here, we hope you can stop smoking. I look at him and I go, it's not for me, it's for him. So actually, when Kevin was in the hospital recuperating, he actually told me, he goes, hey, James, I think I can finally stop smoking now. So, that guy. But, he was always so much fun. One last remembrance. When I got out of the Army, although I know my wife and daughter won't believe this, I was actually kind of buff, sort of like Eric when he got out of the Marines, and it's like rock solid. So I went over to where my parents were living, and Dave and Kevin, I don't know how we got into this, but we decided to play slug out. So Kevin, Dave, and me, and I told them, I go, you guys go, and then, so it's like 2 against 1. So Kevin hits me, then Dave hits me, then I hit Kevin, and I hit Dave. And so it was like 2 against 1, but, it was pretty solid, right? So we were doing that, and then I slipped, and there was a dresser that had a pointy thing on it, and I hit my back on it. I'm going, oh. So Kevin starts laughing. He comes over because it's his turn to hit. He pushes me down, and he slugs me. I'm on the ground. It's like, oh, double pain. But a couple days later, it was really funny. So I go back over there, and I pull up my sleeve, and I got a little black and blue mark about the size of a dime, right? So then we look at Kevin's, and Kevin's is about the size of a silver dollar, right? We look at Dave's, it looked like he was going to have gangrene. It's like all over the place, black and blue. Kevin and I used to always crack up about that. But anyhow, there's a lot more stories, but I will get off the podium now. But thank you.
don't snooze, otherwise I'll lose. Yeah, when in our younger days, back when I was single, I called Kevin when he's in Santa Barbara and said, "Hey, I'm going to go to Mexico. You want to go with me? I'll pay for your trip." He goes, "Sure," because he wasn't doing much. And so I drove to Santa Barbara and picked him up, and we drove to LAX in Los Angeles and got on a plane to, and at first it went from LAX and it stopped in Tijuana. And then from there it went to a little town on, at least 2/3 of the way down Baja. It was called Laredo. So we got there and we took a taxi into town, and neither of us really knew much Spanish. I learned a few words, and we went in there, and it was basically a fishing trip. Well, I took them out on these boats they call pongas, and we went out and we were fishing, and all of a sudden, it wasn't the ocean, but the wind made waves. And found out that he got seasick really bad. He was looking at the water, and a sea lion came up and popped his head up. He went, "Oh!" Oh, and that was it. He almost lost it, and he goes, "I got to go back. I got to go back." And so I told the captain in my broken Spanish, malo, which means bad. So I said, "Vámonos a la casa. We have to go home." So he goes like this. The guy goes like this. His name was Ernie, and he goes, "Okay." So we turned around and we went back, and then we decided to go to a different. We went to a different town. We took a taxi, and it was called Mulahay, and so we stayed there, and it was pretty much out in the sticks, and the only restaurant we knew was at the hotel. So we were sitting one night, we're going to have dinner, and they brought a soup out, and we asked the waiter, of course they don't speak English, "What kind of soup is this?" "Sopa. Toro soup." And we thought the guy was saying toro like bull, okay? So we thought, okay, it's beef soup. And I go, "This doesn't taste like beef soup, and it doesn't look like beef soup." It was kind of greenish, not brown, okay? So we're eating, we must have ate like half the soup, and Kevin and I are there. "Waiter, this doesn't look like beef or toro soup." He goes, "Toro." Oh man, Kevin almost threw up on the spot. And we go, sure. We looked at each other and we said, "Turtle soup." Oh, and that night, I scared the living daylights out of him. I had a nightmare, and I don't know if it's because of the soup, but like at 3 o'clock in the morning, I had a nightmare that people were chasing us and trying to kill me. And I put out this blood-curdling scream in the middle of the night, and I, yelled out, and he goes, "Wow, what happened?" And I said, "Oh, I had a nightmare." And I woke up the people next door because we could hear them getting up like, some commotion. And he never forgot that. But the other good time we had together was when James was going to get married. We went to Hawaii to be in his wedding. And there's two good stories from that. One was we went to a McDonald's drive-up, and I don't know, I was driving, and so I didn't notice on the menu that they had something, and Kevin ordered this food, and at McDonald's in I could have had rice, And James thought it was funny. He was laughing all the whole time. But the best time that Kevin and I had was one of Gail's relatives took us on a tour of the island of Oahu. Just we were killing time. He said, "Hey, you guys want to learn how to surf?" "Ah, no, that's all right." But the highlight of the trip was we went to a pineapple plantation. And we got there and we looked at the sign and it said D-O-L-E. We looked at each other and we went, "Oh!" Yeah, that was the best part. James got tired of that joke because, it's the Homer Simpson joke. But anyway, we had a great time, and I'm really going to miss him.
Boy, I enjoyed those stories. I wish you could have told more. Remind me of my experiences in Japan and Korea when I served as an exchange professor. My name is James E. Walton. I'm an emeritus professor of English at Fresno State. One of the people I teach is named John Donne. John Donne wrote a poem that you probably have heard of. It's entitled, "No Man is an Island." The poem basically says, no man is an island, every man is a part of the continent, a piece of the main. What he means is that whether or not we knew the person, whether or not we knew the person well, the person is a part of humanity, and we should all be concerned, because that person is part of humanity as we are, we're involved with humanity, and we're concerned that person is past. A part of us is past anytime that person passes. It was a time before the invention of cell phones, you might know, a time before obituaries were written in newspapers. When a person passed, they would toll the bell, the church bell, dong, 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 dong. And people working in the countryside, when they heard it, would say, "For whom the bell tolls." Now, who passed? Who passed? Well, John Donne says we should never ask who passed. We should realize that we all passed. If a clot of Europe is washed away over a larger part, Europe is the less. No matter who passes in humanity, we're all the less. So never send for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. It tolls for you. It tolls for me. So, in the passing of Kevin, the great stories we heard, we all lost something. We all lost. We should never ask for whom the bell tolls. Never send for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. It tolls for you. And it tolls for me. Thank you.
Hi, I'll keep it kind of short so I don't start coughing on everybody. I've known the Togamis for like 20 years, I think, just about. So, encountered Kevin a lot over the years at birthdays and, catching the fight, or we'd see him at Trader Joe's. And, he, you've heard a lot. He's just a very kind, upbeat, positive guy. He liked to joke. He liked to eat. And I remember every time that we came over from when we were little, there was always just plates of food, just not even plates. They were as big as this, trays. I remember within the last couple of years, I was trying to lose weight, Eric. And I showed up, and I was just like, this isn't going to work. And it didn't. And your dad offered me seconds of all 5 of the different meats he had made. So
my goals were shattered that day in the best way possible. And I remember every time we'd come over and we'd laugh and eat a bunch, and then I'd look into the other room and after he'd like leave, and I'd wonder where he went, and I'd peer over and I'd see him with the cats. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and he would like take some of the meat and give them to them. He just liked to share his love of food and cooking with everybody, including the animals. But the thing that really stuck with me about him was actually when I was quite a bit younger. I remember learning that he was sick, and it stuck with me because it was so shocking. I remember thinking, this is not the vision of a sick man. This is someone who has every right to be bitter and reclusive, and yet he is the total opposite. You know, he was he's always welcoming. He was always kind, and you never, some parents when you're a kid, you go into the house and you kind of don't want to talk to the parents. You know, they're a little bit more stern, but that was never him. There was always a joke. There was always a smile. There was always a plate of food. It was there was no hint of that whatsoever. So I just remember being very surprised to hear that he was fighting such battles, because from the outside you would never know. He didn't let it stop him. He didn't let it, I don't think, interfere with how he loved and how he engaged people. So I think I certainly am going to take a note from that. We all, I think, could learn from the way he lived, So sorry, but that's how I remember him. Just being a great guy, just loving and open and good dad.
Hi, my name's Emery Ellis, and I know Kevin from Trader Joe's, that he's worked there 9 years. And Kevin was one of the most liked person. Everyone loved him at Trader Joe's. He worked hard. He was positive. He made everyone laugh. And he encouraged everyone to do their best when they were at work. And we had such a fun time at work because of Kevin. Kevin was a fighter. I would see him get sick at work and have to leave, and my heart would sink. But 2 days later, he would be right back at work, encouraging everybody to do their best and enjoying himself and making others enjoy themselves. He would always make us laugh. And I just remember hanging out with Kevin, and we would have such a good time. So Kevin I'm really nervous, I'm sorry. Kevin was one of the most greatest person I've ever known. He was just positive, and everyone loved him, and I loved him. And I'm sorry to see him go, and I just wish that I can spend just a little bit more time with him, but I'm sure he's looking down and he's giving his best to everyone. Thank you.
I guess last call. Would anybody else like to share anything? Thank you all who did share. I really appreciate it. Learned some things about my dad even I didn't know. I guess there's too many stories to relate to you about my dad that I could never be able to tell you in the next 24 hours, even if we pulled out a marathon and I filibustered up here for that length of time. There would never be enough time to get out all my favorite stories of my dad. But I think besides his involvement in myself and my sister's athletic career throughout my life, constantly a presence at our soccer games, my baseball games, loved sitting down and watching soccer at home with my sister. You could always count on coming over to the house and seeing a soccer game on of some sort. It could be, it wouldn't even have to be in English. The majority of them were either, European leagues or, Latin American leagues of some sort. And he didn't matter that he couldn't understand the commentators. He just loved the game and always found a passion for soccer, either when he was younger, participating in a myriad of different sports, golf, tennis, volleyball, soccer, obviously, and he was very, very fascinated and involved in sports throughout his entire life. But I think perhaps the one thing I'll remember my dad for most, and one of the things that brings the most amount of laughs back on, I know, the faces of my brother and sister at least, and our family, is Kevin's mastery of the English language. He was an eminently quotable person. He had catchphrases for almost any situation, from the way he answered the phone to the way he talked about certain things, his pronunciations. Always remember him and love him for that. One of his, I'll just walk you through some of them briefly. Like when he would answer the phone, it'd always be like, "What's up, nerd?" Especially when he's talking to one of his brothers, and he was all, like I said, a phone call from one brother to another was always an interesting thing to listen in on. My dad's side of the conversation, you could hear a little bit of the conversation bleeding through the phone, and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, nerd, yeah, man, yeah, nerd." So he would always use words like that. I'm not exactly sure how he came to mispronounce some certain words. Some of my favorites include his pronunciation of the word refrigerator as furgerator. I'm not sure how he dropped all those syllables, but he managed to, and it was eminently not self-aware, like never bothered to change it, just kept pronouncing it along as furgerator. Also, there's his pronunciation of root beer as hoop beer. Going to get a hoop beer from the kitchen. Not sure again how that came to be or how he mispronounced it as root beer. None of his other brothers or family members that I know of had any sort of dialect issues. But speaking to my dad was definitely like, sometimes you had to very, very closely know him in order to understand what he was saying. Very similar to root beer was hooped cream, or whipped cream as most of us would pronounce it. Could always, besides his verbal cues that you could always take from him when he was speaking, he almost had a uniform in terms of what he wore every day. It was almost always jeans of some sort, and a t-shirt or a Hawaiian shirt, whether he was working at Trader Joe's or earlier when he was working at Kinko's, he actually had to wear a tie every once in a while. So I remember him try to teach me how to tie a tie. It would be very, I think he actually wore clip-ons most of the time, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong there, but he tried to teach me and failed. It wasn't until the Marines forced me to learn that I actually learned years later, but I'll remember him for that as well. That and his refusal to buy sunglasses that cost over $3 or $4. You could always find him in some sort of gas station type sunglasses that he walked in to probably buy snacks and came out with a set of sunglasses on his head. It's like, he always asked me when I came home from the Marine Corps on leave, how do you like the sunglasses? You like my new, or his haircut. He would style it in some new favorite way of his, like, "Oh, how do you like my new do?" he would go, it was funny, like as you can see in the pictures and slideshow from before, later in life, he wore his hair a little bit shorter, a little bit more kempt, but I always thought that maybe one day he might return to the permed out curls of his youth. Kevin, my dad, also, especially in his later years, really loved photography. Not classically trained by any stretch of the imagination. Didn't know shutter speed from aperture and couldn't tell you anything about that. Didn't do any editing or anything like that on his computer. But most of his shots were candid photos on his phone. But he faithfully posted those on Facebook for his friends to enjoy very often. And I remember one post in particular when I completed my active duty service in the Marine Corps and came back. He showed me a post that he had put on his Facebook of this special flower that he'd been saving. It was purple, his favorite color, and he had about a paragraph or two in length just talking about how happy he was that I was back home, and this flower is for my son, and that kind of thing. So those of you who are friends with him on social media definitely have probably seen those as well. He was very proud of those, very proud. And he would show you his latest ones anytime you came over. So unless anybody else has any memories that they've kind of racked their brain and would like to share, we'd like to invite you to enjoy one last song before we have closing remarks. As you can see behind me, my dad was an Eagles fan. He had the shirt, listened to the music, and I think my brother, sister, and I have kind of picked out a song that in many ways encapsulates his outlook on life and the way he lived life. And the song is Peaceful, Easy Feeling. Well, thank you everyone for taking a minute to enjoy one of my dad's favorite songs with us all together. Thank you everyone for coming out and sharing your memories of Kevin and helping us celebrate his life. There's way too many people to thank individually. By just showing up today, I know it would mean a lot to my dad to see you here. But he would be very happy to see many people to turn out to honor him in such a short notice. I'd like to thank the whole family and friends, all of them, for their continuing and crucial support throughout this time. I'd like to take the time to thank a few people individually. Uncle Les, thank you for coming down and helping us plan everything for today and offering transportation to and from the Bay Area and providing constant source of support for us here while we're trying to figure everything out. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Ed and James and everybody who spoke today on very short notice. I know one of the biggest fears is public speaking, and especially short notice public speaking. So thank you very much, Uncle James and Uncle Ed. I appreciate it. Everybody who came down and brought food and everything for the potluck, it's greatly appreciated. Thank you to Eloise for helping us provide these beautiful flower arrangements. You'll see more when we go into the fellowship hall in just a few moments to have a potluck and celebrate Kevin's life in his favorite activity, eating. But like I said, there's too many others to thank. Obviously, all the brothers and the family for housing us and supporting us through this time. I really appreciate it as well. And thank you, everybody, for coming out and showing your support for my dad. So unless there's something else that anybody else would like to say at this time, I'd like to ask that we take a couple minutes and move into the fellowship hall, which is located kind of around the corner that direction. So if you go out the back door and make a left, and you can kind of follow the herd, and we'll all get over there and enjoy some food that have been prepared for us in celebration of Kevin. And without further ado, thank you very much for coming, everybody.
I think to myself, what a wonderful